So
he is in the mix, but the word on the street is, and this ties back to last year, Daniel Jones better watch his back. It sounds like the Giants are going to really – it sounds like a lot of teams, I guess, because the great thing about the Combine, obviously that's where this trade for Russell Wilson came down. Yep. That's probably where a lot of this deal for Aaron Rodgers kind of was structured. The word is that they're really going to make – Giants are really going to make a play for Trubisky because he was in the system with the coach of the Giants. So – Brian Daboll. So, like, he probably wants to bring him in. If Daniel Jones doesn't really show anything, he'll feel comfortable with Trubisky as a bridge possibly this year. And who knows? Maybe he feels he can revitalize his career and maybe turn him into a starter. If not, their team might be bad enough this year. They'll have a high draft pick to draft a more attractive quarterback class next year.
Okay, here's the problem. Mitch had trouble with Chicago media. Can you imagine what New York media will do to Mitchell J.? Wow. That'll be tough.
Here's the thing that helps him. Here's the thing that helps him.
No expectations?
The pressure was on him because he was a second overall pick. Now that he's quote unquote a failed prospect, which again I don't think is fair.
Back up,
Trubisky.
Yeah, I
agree. And again, they're only probably going to bring him in for like a 1-year contract or 2-year contract for maybe, let's say, like 2 years, $20 million, like around $10 million a piece. They can get out of it probably after a year. Like, there's not going to be high expectations. And also the poor Giants fans have been beat down so bad. I don't think the bar is that high for next year. If they're like fighting around 500, they'll be happy with Trubisky. They probably don't see him as the long-term prospect, but they're not going to, I don't think they're going to rattle him too hard. Maybe I'm wrong.
Speaking of paging Matt Nagy. Oh, wait, he's not working anymore, is he?
He's in the CFL, I think.
Well, he went back. He went back to his hometown. He is, I believe, a quarterback's coach with the Chiefs. So he's back in the fold. He's back in the fold.
And he took him back.
The prodigal son returned.
Reeled him back in. Oh, wooed him in with all that magic. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. So we'll see what happens with that Rodgers business. There's not going to be much air in that locker room, though. Let me just say that. It'll be sucked up. That's going to be, wow, some thin air there.
Oh, yeah, the big noggin.
Yeah.
He was going to be able to play Batman in the next movie, but they can't make a headdress big enough for that noggin.
The Batman, part 2, right?
Hey, the shocking thing that I heard this week,
yes,
Amari Cooper, Dallas receiver, and they're saying they're just going to cut him. So what does that mean? Is it just money? Is it just cap space? Is there something we don't know about Amari Cooper? Because, I mean, man, he caught some passes for those guys.
I think it's it's not, I'm not going to say it's the same as this situation previously with the Cowboys, but similar. I think they've been so good at drafting in general, but particularly even like wide receivers. Michael Gallup, they want to re-sign him. And then their fourth receiver, Wilson, they want to re-sign him. And for the money that'll cost to re-sign Gallup and Wilson, they can that'll be the money that'll be spent on Amari Cooper. So that'll free up money for other parts of their team. Because also they don't want this is I think Parcells a progress stopper. CeeDee Lamb last year flashed it. He can be the guy. And they want him to be the guy because obviously in 2 years they're going to have to pay him. So they want to, whatever money they have allocated for Amari currently, they're going to give to those 3 receivers either this upcoming year or the years coming up for CeeDee Lamb. So I think that is why I don't think Amari Cooper is a bad guy. I think he'll go to possibly, it sounds like the Lions maybe are really interested in the receiver free agency. I think they'll make a big play if he becomes available. And again, I think you saw with the Raiders, even though he got traded from the Raiders, he went to the Cowboys and was good. It's weird. He's going to be like a Brandon Cooks. There's already a receiver like Amari Cooper. Brandon Cooks, wherever he goes, has been like a 1,000-yard receiver. Now, teams give up on him on 1 year. I don't know what that is about, but I think Amari Cooper is the same way. I don't have any inside intel on him. He's going to be a good player. I don't think he's a locker room cancer or anything. So I just think it's a situation where again, Jerry Jones talks a lot, but again, his son, who I think is mainly in control of the team, how it's structured and whatnot. Stephen Jones has done an excellent job, and I think it's just he's fairly shrewd with how they go about doing business. So I think that's all.
His son is not Jim Jones, not.
I think Jim Jones is one of those kind of names that have been erased. I don't know. Maybe
you can't name the kid Jim anymore. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. No Jims. JJ's.
But this is a business move, aren't some of these moves now business moves? We can't afford that guy. We're going to pay other guys.
No, I was just going to say it would be cool to see him in Miami, just because he could really excel there. He's a big receiver, and other than Buffalo in the East, I mean, they've got a shot if they can get themselves a couple of running backs and a receiver. So anyway, that's just my sort of heart play for Amari Cooper, since he is, a former U of L card. So,
all right, let's go on with this funny, unexpected. Go ahead.
Amari Cooper was a card. What was this?
I thought he was. He's not.
Oh no, he went to the University of Alabama.
That kind of slipped right through, didn't it? Woo, he's one of your Alabama guys they keep in the basement. Remember? Come on.
I thought he was one of ours. Well, okay. So you had Amari, Jerry Jeudy. There's a bunch of those receivers in the NFL from Alabama then. Okay.
At what point did we lose control of the show? Okay. The bizarre story of Russian Federal Customs Service said they have detained Brittany Griner after finding vape cartridges that contained hashish oil in her luggage. And now she is in detention in Russia. What is going on, guys? This is one of these sports stories, real stories that crosses into sports.
It's pretty standard KGB stuff, isn't it? You do anything to detract from what is really going on. I guarantee you that was planted. I mean, she's not an idiot. You can't do that through customs. She wouldn't have been able to get that back through U.S. Customs. So I think that's a total plant to basically, it's look over here,
Change
don't look
focus.
at Ukraine.
Yeah,
exactly. They're just moving it.
Yeah, the scary thing is I agree with Lugs. I think there's a high probability it was planted because, like Lugs has said, I mean, this wasn't her first. She wasn't just visiting Russia. She in the offseason of the WNBA, she plays basketball because the unfortunate thing is in Russia she gets paid more to play women's professional basketball than in the WNBA. Right. So that's why a lot of talented WNBA stars have to go overseas to play. And the unfortunate thing is, she's probably going to be a political pawn because obviously all of these economic sanctions that are being set up on the West, they might try to use them as essentially chips. I mean, that's the sad thing is she's a human being and she's essentially going to be maybe used as a chip to remove certain sanctions, which obviously the oil sanction was just placed down in terms of no Russian oil being imported. So, and the other scary thing for her is because of her sexual orientation. I mean, Russia is not one that it respects the LGBT community. So it could be even dicier for her than another American being held over there. So that's the things where you really kind of feel for her, and it's a very scary situation.
Yeah. Our hope and thoughts go out to her and hope it gets resolved soon. I hope she isn't just a political pawn in the big game. Okay. Hey, Lugs, you want to do a little sports of yesteryear?
Sure. Let's do that.
Yes, it's sports of yesteryear. He's Lugs. He's our man in the field. Why do they always say that, man in the field? He's our man outside. He's got sports of yesteryear. Come on in.
All right, here we go. 1913, Major League Baseball. The Federal League organizes with 6 teams, including the Chicago Whales, who built and played at Weems Park, now Wrigley Field. The league folded after 3 seasons. 1930, baseball slugger Babe Ruth signs 2-year contract for a then huge $160,000 with the Yankees. GM Ed Barrow wrongly predicts no one will ever be paid more than Ruth. 1967, New Orleans Saints began selling season tickets. They sold 20,000 in the first day. 1968, 6-year-old Tommy Moore scores a hole-in-one in golf in Hagerstown, Maryland. And 1969, at the 16th annual ACC men's basketball tournament, North Carolina beats Duke 85-74. And of course, being a Carolina boy, I have to bring up the fact that Carolina whomped your man, Coach K, on his last game at Cameron. Go Heels, baby.
Is that it for sports of yesteryear?
That would be it.
All right. Yes. Coach K. Wow, yeah. Was he crying? Did I miss that? Did I see tears? There's no tears in baseball. Were there tears in Cameron? Did I miss it?
Well, his little bitty mouth puckered up. Ooh, ooh.
Apparently, there were quite a few memes. People had a field day with that. Guys like Jerry Seinfeld were there and all kinds of folks, and they were all crying.
Yeah, well, there you are.
How much did a ticket go for that? 5,000? Some crazy number?
Yeah, I saw that the last ticket I saw was like 4,200, and that was just to get in the place. If you wanted those courtside and all of that, I think one of them or a pair of them went for 49,000. So
because the place is pretty tiny, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a very small. I mean, it's got to be it's definitely the smallest in the ACC for sure.
All right. T-Dog, what else? Anything else?
Yeah, I was going to say next week will be the start of free agency. So I was just going to say here's some – I'll just try to mow through these as quick as possible.
Let's go.
These are the most – I think some of the more interesting people that are available. J.C. Jackson, he is a corner who played for the Patriots. Last 2 years, he's had 37 pass defenses, 17 interceptions. Everyone needs a corner. You don't need 2 corners anymore. You need at least 4. So anyone who's like, we don't need them. Well, if you don't have money, then you probably don't need them. But everyone else probably who has the ability to and has the need, which almost everyone does, J.C. Jackson is going to get paid top dollar. Similar, but I don't think is as good a prospect. Carlton Davis, but he's at least younger. He's a 25-year-old corner from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The last 3 years, he had 48 pass defenses, 6 INTs. Obviously, like I said, I don't think he's as good a prospect as J.C. Jackson, but he's at least, I think, three years younger. So that probably maybe helps him long-term with his cap. And then Harold Landry is a pass rusher from the Tennessee Titans. Last 2 years, he's had 38 QB hits, 24 tackles for losses, and 17.5 sacks. And I think he could be the this year's Trey Hendrickson who was with the Saints, had his breakout year, the last year of his contract, then went to the Bengals, and everyone thought, it was just a contract year situation. Not so. Trey Hendrickson, a big part of the Bengals getting to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Bengals,
yep.
they need offensive linemen. Brandon Sheriff, 5-time Pro Bowler at guard. He is going to be available. He left the Washington Cobra Commanders. And Ryan Jensen, there's a good chance that he leaves. He's a veteran for the Buccaneers, who every young quarterback, which is a lot of them, we got Justin Fields, Zach Wilson. A lot of these guys, they need a veteran center to help them with, in terms of how to line up the offensive line in terms of protections. Ryan Jensen can do that for you. And then one of Lugs' favorites, Jameson Winston. I know he has some. I still believe in him because if you look, I
believe in him.
He's a young, talented quarterback. If you look at what he did last year under Sean Payton, he played pretty well. And I know he had the 30 interception year, I guess 3 years ago. But if you really if you go to ProFootballReference.com, that year is, I'm not going to say it's an anomaly, but his interception percentage that year was inflated because of Bruce Arians' system. He only played in Bruce Arians' system 1 year, and that was the year where his his interceptions were ungodly. It was because of that. So, and then just last two, I won't